Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another African meetup. My name is Martin Suwere, and I also have my co-presenter here, Ruth. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for making out your afternoon or wherever you are. Yeah, thanks for coming to this GitHub Africa virtual meetup. And I'm Ruth Kega, and this is my first time co-hosting. So I'm joining Martins, and we have a lot for you today. So yeah, over to you, Martin.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have you here on our June event. So we have a lot of agenda for you today. So, like I mentioned before, I know most of you guys have met me. If you've not met me before, I work here at GitHub. I'm the account executive, and I work with developers and customers every day to leverage the GitHub platform and make the most of it. I also love cryptocurrency and real estate investment. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter to learn more about me. And specifically, I would like to pass it over to Ruth to talk through our agenda for today. So, Ruth.
Okay, sure. So I didn't do a quick introduction on me. So I'm a technical content manager. I basically do technical articles a lot. I write a lot, and also I'm also a GitHub star. And yeah, I think that's about me. So for today, like I said, we have like a lot in store for you. Martins is going to be taking us through some GitHub news, so stay tuned in for that. But we have like three amazing speakers that are going to be sharing a lot with us today. So Olubusayo she's going to be sharing managing infrastructure as code with Terraform and Azure Devops. So if you're in the cloud space, you'd really find that interesting. So also we are going to be having Sule-balogun. Sule-balogun will be telling you all you need to know about APIs. I know you might have heard like what an API. If you do not know what an API is, or how to work around APIs, you're going to like take a whole lot from that session. And lastly, we are going to be having an amazing speaker, Samu, Mohammed Samu. He's going to be talking about contributing to open source as a student. He's going to be sharing his story, how he was able to navigate the whole stress of school and contributing to open source. And after these amazing sessions, we are going to be having like a networking Zoom chat for 30 minutes, where would be basically Chatnam rule. It will be a Chatnam house rule where you like take all the lessons and forget about the names, but pick up the lessons, right? So you feel free to join us. We're going to be sharing a link to that on the chat, so you can hop in. And I think there's a short barcode down, share in a sec or during towards the end of the event. So stay tuned in and enjoy the rest of the session. Okay, Martins, over to you for the GitHub news.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Ruth. One of the things I discovered that we shipped recently was I know most of you would have already heard about our GitHub security product, GitHub Advanced Security. It's free for open source to use. And one of the updates we had earlier this month was that now you can use the GitHub secret scanning functionality to scan your package registry credentials. So definitely go to the GitHub blog to take a look at this new functionality. And also one other thing I wanted to spotlight is the Good Day project. I'll share links to all of these projects on YouTube for you guys to go take a look at. And one more update I wanted to share is our change log. So if you the GitHub change log basically highlights the new functionality that we've shipped over the past couple of weeks. As you can see here, we had a lot of ships. We had over 20 new features in the month of May. So there's this one around having upload across GitHub in upload MPV and MOV files on GitHub, and so many more enhancements to GitHub Actions, the GitHub API, and oh, we're going to talk about API today. So definitely go check out this link to learn more about what we've changed here. And also, we've made some enhancements to GitHub Desktop. So definitely check this out. And then there's also GitHub discussions, GitHub docs. So there's been a lot of work that we've done this past month into June, and some enhancement to GitHub mobile repositories and overall security. So I'll share these three links in on YouTube for you guys to go take a look at it and see if this any of this functionality will make your life easier, and just continue to do great work on GitHub. So thank you so much. These are the updates I have for some new shapes on GitHub, and I'll pass it over to the first speaker um, to give his talk.
Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone is doing fine. My name is Amowe and I'm a software engineer, and I typically write C#.NET Java, also write JavaScript. I'm also interested in cloud ops and stuff around Devops, cloud infrastructure, cloud security. Today I'm going to be talking about managing IAC with Terraform and Azure Devops. IAC is a common term that is used nowadays among IT practitioners. IAC, which is known as infrastructure as code, is really critical to automate infrastructure. It is a critical thing because nowadays applications can be rolled out multiple times, or applications can be provisioned and deprovisioned as many times as possible in a day, depending on requests. Now, how was it done in the past before infrastructure as code? So in the past, managing infrastructure was a very hard job, a job that required system administrators to set up servers, configure the networking parts, set up database, do a lot of configuration and a lot of stuff just to get app running on servers. It was really stressful because they not only have to do this on one environment, it's possible that those apps need to be deployed on different environments. We have the test environment, we have the production environment. So it was a very hard job. And apart from the different environments as well, there had to be like room for maintenance, there had to be room for provisioning, there had to be room for changing of configuration. This was really, really tough, and it was not a flexible way of maintaining or using infrastructure. So there were a lot of challenges with these manual processes. One of it was resource provisioning was really, really slow because to provision a resource, I mean, you have to like raise tickets and do a lot of stuff and gymnastics. And even after being able to achieve it, there's going to be like the part of human errors while commissioning or while provisioning or while orchestrating. Also, scalability was really poor using this, and then scale of deployments very, very limited, and there were difficulties with configuration drift. But thanks to infrastructure as code, and that's why we are talking about it today. So what's infrastructure as code? In simple terms, I would say infrastructure as code is the managing and provisioning of resources, or managing and provisioning of infrastructure using configuration files. So we're going to look at some of the advantages using infrastructure as code. So one of the advantages is that infrastructure as code gives room for consistency in configuration. Also, it gives room for a stable environment because it's with the use of tools and it's automated. Another advantage is that Provisioning is automated, so it's more efficient, and then it also gives room for better scalability as opposed to before IAC, where provisioning was manual and management was manual and maintenance was manual. And then obviously, like, that process is going to be slower, and then it's going to lead to poor scalability and elasticity. Also, with infrastructure as code, it speeds up production time. So products are able to get shipped on time as opposed to without IAC. Imagine where you had to deploy apps with different entities like load balancers, multiple web servers, and database servers. So before IAC, it was a really tough one. But with IAC, stuff are done like faster. So now we're going to be looking at some IAC tools. Um, IAC tools are mostly combined together to get stuff up and running for your infrastructure. So some IAC tools we have Terraform, we have Ansible, we have Chef, we have Puppet, we have AWS Cloud Formation. So I'm typically going to run through a demo in this presentation. And in this demo, I'm going to be using Terraform and Azure Devops to create a simple sample infrastructure. So I'm going to basically be creating an app service on Azure. So I put some terms that I'm going to be discussing while doing the demo. First one is pipeline. So basically, a pipeline is an end-to-end deployment of a component. So components can be maybe a virtual machine. So basically, typically is the end-to-end deployment of that. Then we have configuration files. So these configuration files that I mentioned earlier while defining and explaining IAC, they are the files that contain the specifics of the infrastructure. Then we have app service. App service is typically just full of services such as, load balancing, app monitoring, auto scaling, and so on. Then also I'm going to be using some Terraform commands which are defined here. Terraform init. Terraform init prepares your working directory for other commands. Then we have Terraform plan that shows the changes required by your current configuration. We also have Terraform apply. So what Terraform apply does for you is it creates or it updates your infrastructure. Also in this demo, I'm going to be using AZ login. AZ login is typically just to log into Azure. So let's go right to the demo now. Okay, so for the demo, we're going to be using Azure Devops. I have written the code already and pushed it here. So I'm just going to go ahead to import this repo into Azure Devops. So I'm importing the repo right now and it's been imported. So let's head to our Visual Studio Code to check out our configuration files. So we have a couple of configuration files here in Terraform.tf files. So here we look at our main.tf file. It specifies all the resources that we're going to be needing. So the plan is we are to create an app service, and so we're going to be specifying all we need to create an app service. So we need a resource group, we need a service plan, and we need an app service. So for the resource group, we need to specify the name of the resource group, the location as well, and then our app service plan, we need to specify the name, the location, and under which resource group that we want it to be. Also, our app service, we're specifying the name, location, under which resource group, and under which app service plan. So here is basically to define all the resources that are going to be needing. Then your providers too. This providers file specifies all the providers that you're going to be using. So right now, for the purpose of this demo, I'm using just Azure. And here are the variables I'll be needing to authenticate: my subscription ID, my tenant ID, client ID, and client secret. So as many providers that you need, you can specify it here. As many providers I need for your infrastructure can be specified here. Then we have the variables.tf file. So in this file, is where you define your variables. So the variables I'm going to be needing, my app service name, my app service plan. I can define the type of the variable. So basically they are going to be strings. And then I can also give a description to the variables. So that being said, let's just check out this file, the .tf file. Basically, this is where you put in your actual values and credentials after you've defined the variables that you're going to be needing. So here you can see I've specified that the resource group name is going to be my first resource group. I've also specified the group location, and then I've specified the service plan name and the service name as well. So here also using Azure, you specify your tenant ID, client ID, client secrets, and your subscription ID, which are going to be using for your authentication. So we have been able to successfully import our repo here. So we can go ahead to our pipeline to start the pipeline. So you can create a pipeline with YAML and you can create it without YAML. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be creating without YAML. So I'll be using the classic editor. So the classic editor gives you like templates that you can use and you can edit. So I'm selecting the source, and the source is going to be Azure Repo Git because this is on Azure Devops. So, and then you select the branch that you'll be connecting to, and then you continue. So there are different templates that you can select from, but I'm going to start with an empty job so that I'll be able to customize the tags that I'll be needing for the job. Okay, so you can give your pipeline a name. I'm going to be giving this GitHub Africa Meetup CI. Then can give your agent pool, specify your agent pool, and then specify your agent specification. The selections where you can select from. So after this, is now to add tags to your agent. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to add a Terraform installer tag. So there are a couple of tags that you can select from, and there's also a marketplace where you can get some tags that you'll be needing, whatever tags you need. So I need a Terraform installer. So this is my Terraform installer here. Then I'm going to be using Terraform 0.130. So I can say use Terraform 0.13.0, and then you specify your version here. Terraform just released Terraform 1.0, so whatever version that you'll be needing, you can specify that here. So also I'm going to be needing the .tf file that I showed you the other time, where you specify your actual value for your variables. So you need to download it as a secure file, and you have to, okay, are you sure I stay if you are leaving the pipeline page, you have to save so you don't lose all your work. Then head over to library. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this, and yeah, upload it back. So you I went to secure files, browse the file, select your .vas file, and then go back to your pipeline. Ideally, you should have done that before you even start your pipeline, but either ways, it works. So I'm going ahead to edit my pipeline. So I'm now going to, my next task is going to download secure file. So you select the file in this, I need app service.tfvars. Then my next task is going to be copy file from source to target. So I'm going to be needing the copies file stacks. And say some settings need my attention. So my source folder is this agent.temp directory. The target folder is view.sources directory. And I go ahead to save. Okay, so right about now, the next task that my job has to do is to run the Terraform init command. So you can decide to use the Terraform CLI, use here, or you can use the command line. So I'm going to be using the command line in this case. So my command line, display name, Terraform init, and my script is going to be Terraform init. Okay, so the next task is to authenticate Azure. So I'm also going to be using my command line times task. So I can say display as Azure login. Then here I write my script. Okay, so we're done with that, and then last task. I mean, you can decide to do a Terraform plan as well, but I'm just going to go ahead to do a Terraform apply here using my command line. So it should display Terraform apply. And then I want you to apply that secured file that I downloaded. So Terraform apply okay. Okay, so we're done. Then we can check through our template to see what we specified, and then let's save. So again, back to our pipeline. Says no runs yet, so let's go ahead to run it. So you can monitor it here. So as you can see, our task is running. It's installing Terraform, scopied files. It's downloaded secure files. It's run Terraform init. Right now, we're logging into Azure. Then my task is running Terraform apply right now. So we can check that. So you can see our resource group is creating. That's actually been created. So next up is creating our app service plan, which has been created. And then the last thing is creating our app service. Okay, it's taking a bit of time, but it should get created soon. Head back, our agent is still working and running. Okay, so let's check the logs. Now resources have been created. Okay, yeah, so we've had a successful pipeline build. Yeah, so it says 3 added resources. Let's go ahead to check and validate that on portal.azure. So we created an app service called, yeah, so here's our app service demo 1. Let's check our resource group. My first resource group. Okay, here it is, my first resource group, and it's going to show us the app service plan and the app service. So that's how you create an app service using Terraform on Azure DevOps. Thank you for listening. I'd love to connect with anyone who is interested on LinkedIn and Twitter. So I dropped my Twitter handle and how you can reach me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that talk. I really appreciate that, Olubusayo. I really liked how you showed that's pretty good. So I'll let Ruth introduce the next speaker. Sule-balogun.
Sure. Okay, so thank you very much, Busayo, for your talk. So our next speaker is Sule-balogun, and he's going to be talking about what you need to know about APIs, right? So Sule-balogun is a Laravel developer and is also an open source and active open source contributor. And Sule is going to be taking us through APIs. So yeah, over to Sule.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here, to be joining you guys on this talk. And most especially, huge shout out to GitHub for giving me this opportunity to talk about API. So this June edition, we'll be looking into why you need to know about API. Yes. Okay, let's get it started. So this is a little bit introduction about myself. As you can see, I'm more into backend development, and mostly in my leisure time, I work as a technical writer. I love to share what I know through blogs and talk. And as you can guess, I'm an indie person. Yeah, I work at Seamless HR. So this is my picture. So should you run into me on the street, feel free to say hello, and my humble self will hi. So let's get it started. All right. So what are we looking at today? We'll be looking at introduction to APIs, API lifecycle, effects of good API design, RESTful APIs, and methods. And what next? What do we do from here? Get to find out. So what are APIs? When I first started web development, I hear people talk about APIs. And I'm like, yo, what are you guys talking about? What do we get to do with APIs? Yeah. So at first, it was really a wide concept. I was trying to wrap my head around, even though I was doing it. Yeah, there's some stuff you do in tech and you keep doing it, but when people come and say APIs, and you're like, wow, is that a new language? Nah, it's not a new language. Yeah, that's just how it is. So basically, what are APIs? APIs, simply put, it's an interface that provides you with opportunities where you can interact. Yes. So maybe I say, oh, I want something from you, and you're providing me an opportunity to actually retrieve it. Oh, I want you to do something for me. You make a post request and send it to me. So basically specifies how software components should interact, thereby exposing business capabilities and services. So I'm not just the only person who wants to use the API. External people want to use the API. People from my organization want to use the APIs. Other developers are interested in my APIs. Like, it's so huge. It's so huge. So stick around. Let's go. So what are some of the features of APIs? What are some of the things like, oh, that makes me want to say this particular tool or technology that these guys are building here? An API, an application programming interface. So first, API allows you to expose some functions of a program or service in a managed and secure environment. APIs enable organizations to share information with external developers. Obviously, I am working or building a particular stuff that I feel a lot of people outside should benefit from. Yeah, just want to make it an API. Like a whole lot of people, thousands, millions of developers around the globe will be able to interact with it. So you can imagine we live in a world where there's nothing such as signing with Google, sign up with Microsoft, signing with Twitter, like just the custom email and password. How boring would that look like? I don't want to have the time to say, oh, I want to sign up my first name, my last name, my password, my location. It's so tiring. Gmail has all this information with them. Microsoft has it. Twitter has it. Why can't you just plug in into their devices and just get it from them and know who I am? Simple and sweet. You get. So those are some of the features where you should look at while talking about features of API. So why APIs? Why is it important to us? Let's look at this. So why APIs? APIs it basically supports easy access to customers and partners. It extends the reach to more channels and devices, surfacing of services for more flexibility. So these are some of the reasons why we want to say, oh, let's use an API. So there is a lot of ease that comes with it. I want to add a payment integration into my WooCommerce, for instance. People should be able to pay for a particular service I'm offering. So how do I do that? I can just plug in into maybe Stripe, maybe Flutterwave, maybe Paystack, and then people can easily pay. I get my money back, and everybody's happy. Do you understand? So it's really something I get excited about every day, actually. Let me lie. So classifications of APIs. Basically, APIs are classified into three. We have public, we have the protected, we have the private. So public APIs are the APIs where everybody is using it, open source, free of charge. Yeah. So everybody can just go there. Oh, maybe for educational purpose, a whole lot of stuff can come with it. Maybe GitHub API is free. I can tell you that Twitter APIs are free. A whole lot of APIs are out there free. Play with, make with stuff with, buy other stuff with. So protected APIs. These are just APIs I can extend to just selected people, maybe business partner. So I work in a company where we usually deal with HR products, and maybe a partner is coming to integrate into our services, for instance. Why won't I just provide them with this API and say, these are the APIs you currently have. These are the things I'm expecting from you, and this is how we should integrate with it. Obviously, it's not going to be words of mouth. I need to provide them with a guide, maybe user documentation, and they are good to go. So meanwhile, we also have the third one, which is the internal or private API. This is just for maybe some selected few in the company. So maybe do with my developers too. Okay, what are the life cycles of an API? So we can't just say we have an API just like that. So it needs to go through a life cycle. First off is I need to first create an API. So I need to first try to figure out, what problem am I trying to solve? The problem I'm trying to solve would then help me in how I want to create this API. If I'm saying, I want to bridge the gap of maybe users find easy access to maybe trade crypto. So it means, this API will just be for crypto trading. If it's to make maybe payments, maybe just payments, if it's to make maybe orders or stuff, like maybe educational stuff, maybe from GitHub, to get maybe total number of repositories the user has, from Twitter, to know total number of users on Twitter, what they are tweeting about, how to be able to do educational stuff, basically. So I need to first wrap my head around that particular ideology of mine and say, I want to create this API. So once I'm done with the API, before I say, you guys can come and work with this API, I need to verify this API saves and solve the problem which it originally was intended to solve. So I need to make sure these APIs are running and it is fine. I also should be able to make reservation for managing the APIs. So if the user says, I want this API to also attach this particular record, I should be able to help them solve that problem. Also, I need to make sure this API at all times is secured by providing monitoring to it. So what are some of the effects of a good API design? So before I can say, I want to probably make an API, it should align with the audience. And the problem I'm trying to solve should be clear on site. Okay, this is the problem I'm trying to solve, and this is how to go about it, and this is what this API is targeting. So a user comes there, he knows, this is an API I can use to integrate into payment. This is an API I can use to trade cryptocurrency. This is an API I can use to know the total number of stock in the stock market or the price in the stock market. Like, it should just be as simple and straightforward as that. So ease of use. I don't want to make it too complex for people to understand. Also, version and support. So version support and documentation. I should also be able to provide documentation. I don't want to at all time have to babysit people and say, oh, this is how to do it with word of mouth. I have a documentation where I can just refer them to and say, oh, I built this also API that solves the ABC problem. Now, this is the link or URL to the documentation, and subsequently, we'll be going from maybe beta to maybe V1, then V2, and the likes. So basically, that's what this section is centered around. So up next, so we'll be looking at what RESTful API. So RESTful API is an architecture for building resource on the web. Yeah. So we'll also be looking at what are some of the HTTP verbs or methods as they are called. JSON, JavaScript object notation, the format in which our responses come from the server. Okay, so this is the first of the HTTP verb we'll be looking at. This is get. So get is used to retrieve information from the server. So I have my URL here as example.com. I have the API, I have the versioning V1, I have the post to say, oh, I want to get the post. Then this ID is the parameter of say, oh, I want to request for just a post with ID of 23. So this would return that for me. The screenshot here as a typical example of what I was trying to explain. And obviously, if you're curious, this screenshot is from Postman. So I usually use Postman for my stuff. So this is the verb that comes with it. This is the URL, and this is the ID attached to it. So this will return me a status of 200, the data object, and as you can expect, the message to notify the users of saying, oh, I'm able to retrieve this message successfully. So this is the post. So post, we use it to post stuff to the server, basically. So in this case, now we are trying to create a new post. So I have my API V1, and then I'm trying to align what this API would do. So immediately user sees it, he knows, oh, this API is used to create a post. Like it should be as simple as that. I don't want to say delete a post. Meanwhile, it's serving the purpose of creating a post. No, that's so wrong. So this comes with a payload of title, and then the status of 201 telling you this is created, the ID, the title which we pass here, and also the message. So patch is used to make an update. So I'm trying to make an update to my earlier created post which I just did. So I'm trying to say, oh, this is update post with an ID, then what I'm updating to in the payload, and the status 200 created, the ID, and also the message. Also, your message should be able to channel what you're trying to do. I don't want to say, while I'm trying to update a message, and I'm coming here to say, oh, post deleted successfully. Now, you don't want to do that. So we have the delete. So the delete is also a verb. I'm trying to tell the users, oh, this API is strictly for deleting a post. This is the ID, then this is the status, and then the post. The post has been deleted successfully. So up next, what do we go from here? What do we go from all we've been talking about since? So we can get what? So we'll be looking into a real life scenario where we are going to be working with a reward API. The reward API in this case will be used to process payment. So for doing that, we have the likes of Flutterwave, we have Stripe, we have this app, we have a host of them actually. For this stuff would be majorly focusing on Paystack. So what do I do when I want to maybe integrate a payment into my online store, into my book application, into I just basically want to integrate an API to make people to receive payments. How do I get it done? I've been looking all over. I don't know how to do it. I don't know. Yeah, this solves the problem. So Paystack has this API. They have a whole bunch of APIs. You can see by the left-hand side here, we have the one for initializing a transaction, verifying a transaction, listing transaction, fetch a transaction, the charge authorization, check authorization. Like they have a whole lot of them. So in this talk, I have been able to provide you with the API documentation. You can go through in your leisure time and learn from it and probably guide you into integrating this into your platform. Also, so maybe in the future find it challenging, you can always reach out. So let's get it started. So this is how we can initialize the transaction. So maybe user says, oh, I want to add this feature to my app, and you are just coming and say, okay, so maybe when a user clicks on pay now, what should happen? I want to initialize that transaction. What are some of the things that need to happen on the background? So in the background, you are trying to make sure that, okay, I'm attaching necessary information. PayStack expects from me. They're expecting me to supply them with an amount, with an email. I'm getting an authorization from them when I sign up to use their API, and like support a whole lot of languages. We have Node, we have PHP and like. So I'm trying to make a post request to this endpoint of transaction, then initialize. Then what am I expecting from them when this transaction happens? They tell me the authorization has been created. They give me this URL, they give me an access code, they give me the reference to initialize this transaction. So when the user payment falls through, I want to verify, oh, this payment has actually been received by PayStack. So they have this endpoint for me where I can actually interact and say, oh, I want to verify this payment. Have you received it yet? So I can call this API transaction, verify the reference. Reference has been generated for me in the earlier slide. Just a recap, this is the reference here. So this is reference I'm now going to supply as the parameter here to verify. And once I get it, I get the full details of the amount, the percentage, the currency, the paging, like a whole bunch of details. So from getting this, I'm sure that, okay, this person actually completed the payment for real. And then I can now keep track of that record and return the response to them and say, you, I received your payment. Expect your order in the next 7 days. Expect this to happen in the next 2 hours. Our call center agents will reach out to you. You successfully purchased this item. So it could be any message of your choice, but you are sure at this point you received your payment. So the next is I want to make sure, maybe say I want to list of transactions I've had maybe in the day, in the last 2 days, in the last 3 days. I would use this endpoint. I just want to do get transaction. I also wanted to pay attention to how the APIs are being versioned and structured. So this gives me get transaction. So I'm getting a whole list of transactions, and I can also add extra parameters, query parameters to say, oh, I just want to get maybe the last 5 transactions. I want to get the last 10 transactions. I also want to paginate it so I don't make it too bulky. So maybe page 1 contains maybe 50 transactions, page 2 contains this. So they provided me with such possibility of features. So basically, what are some of the things you might find helpful for you in your journey to getting to work with APIs? So I have an article here for you to read. There's also an extra resource here on Postman. You can also find more on the web. And for this payment use case which we did, this is the API. This is the URL here for further reading. So I think we've come to the end of this talk. I'm so excited. Yes, I'm so excited. I know this will go a long way to help people get started using APIs. And this might just be the first step for you. Maybe if you're just coming into technology, or you've been around for a while and maybe you've heard of it and you're not clear about what exactly it does or how exactly to use it. So this is just a real world scenario where we can get to use it and how beautiful it is for you to create and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to be creating in the next couple of weeks, in the future, anytime. I'm always excited to see people building great stuff I can also benefit from. Yeah, so that's just it. So thank you for attending, and I'm looking forward to seeing you do great stuff in the near future. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Sule. I love your energy, and thanks for the talk on APIs.
Yeah, it was a lot.
yeah, and like how you we need to like think more as developers about APIs, building APIs, and making sure that people can also reuse your APIs, and it's a great way to really show your skills, especially if you're trying to get started um, in the open source world as a developer. Ruth, do you have any thoughts on
Okay.
Sule's
I just,
talk?
I just, I just want to comment on his energy. That's just it for me. He brought a lot of energy to the talk.
Uh, that's so
Yeah,
true. Yeah, thank
yeah, and
you.
I learned a lot also from his talk and his demo also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. Thank you so much, Sule. Our next speaker is Mohammed Samu. He prefers to be known as, I think, our MS. He's a software engineer, and he's been involved in the web dev community for a long time, and he leads student developer communities in Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa for the past 6 months. He with the Google Developer Relationships program, and is also involved in Google Developer Student Clubs across Africa. So in his talk, he'll be talking about how students can contribute to open source, and so I'll let Sam will take it over from here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Let me try sharing my. Oh, okay. Trying to see. Looks like my camera is faulty. So let's focus on what I'm talking about and less on what I look like. Basically, my name is Mohammed Samu. Um, in other words, I prefer to be called Awal MS. Like Martin said earlier, I'm a software engineer and I have been in this field playing around things for close to a decade, if not more. Um, but at the moment, I am part of the developer relations team at Google, supporting Sub-Saharan Africa with a main focus on the Google Developer Student Clubs program. And yeah, so basically what I try to do my day-to-day job is to try to help students computer science concept and what is needed in the industry. So basically providing resources, get them to uh, practice, learn about best practices, and try to build a good portfolio that they can be able to be employable at the end of their years in school. So today's talk is basically around contributing to open source as a student. I have been with this is my second year in this team, and over the last 2 years, what I've been doing is try to talk to students, try to mentor students, and try to see how things can be easier for them. So I figured sharing some tips or probably giving an insight into what contributing to open source is would be like a good idea for this session. So basically my talk is targeted at students or beginners who have less experience with open source. So in that way, first thing first, it's going to be try to understand what open source is, right? People have head of open source, head of free softwares, head of free and open source softwares and stuff like this. So let's look at what open source is. So specifically, open source is, right, that makes the open source initiative. It's around, right? And it means is code that is open to modification and to read. So this doesn't necessarily need to. It basically means anything that can be copied could be that are kept in the and copy, modify, and reduce. Even though this depends on the creator is what license. So for software, we're talking about soft codes also, and anyone can inspect, enhance to do more than what it was initially conceptualized, right? You possibly building to use a library, say a date library, and what you have available in the open does not fit into exactly what you want. Clearly, search open source libraries that do something of that nature, inspect them, modify that, and decide to share or just enhance it for your own personal use, right? But it's definitely contribute. So this is how we look at it from the software. Just to be clear, are not free softwares. There's a difference between an open source and a free software. About that probably later. Know this, that open source software, not all open source are not free, not all really open source. So let's look at why people decide to contribute to open source. Different people contribute to this. Some people try to improve a beloved or a library or something that's very, very really used for their day-to-day life as a software engineer or stuff like this. Try to be like, okay, yes, I've been using the time and I think I figured that tools that could probably help improve software to or just what it's currently doing. So for a lot to other people, not right. Other people source because they want to learn about best practices from other co-contributors in the project. They skim through the code base, understand how it is as they try to people's feedback, and this is why for this approach, some people call best practices just right. But yeah, people try learnings or to they've gained years and they see or project tend to bring good have experience and people have. So it's up to mentor as learn, right? Fourth thing, how about I contribute to, or this project or this that I gain some skills and then student learning stuff in silos or probably tool and are often told to learn, and then open source software gives them the opportunity to collaborate with other people from other places. Really great skills that when you try to get a job, because like trying to work on a project doesn't really happen to be built by one, built by many people. One of such criteria in a job these days seems to be collaborative skills. You must have a project or probably have worked with or basically building teams. So this is some of the reasons. When I look at I as a student decide, so different people contribute for different. For me, what's beneficial for me? This should be a question. Something that really right. And yes, why should I contribute? Right. One of those things is to probably gain valuable experience, like I mentioned earlier. Right. You as a student, you stand to gain valuable experience. Learn from people who have been doing this for a long time. It could be your first time trying to contribute. It could be your second time, but eventually, whether it's your first or second or third, you definitely will be able to gain experience with working with people. So you gain valuable experience that will count for you at the end of your studies, trying to get a job and stuff like this. Another thing is it helps you build a solid portfolio backed by solid best practices, right? when you work on multiple open source softwares, it's easier to be able to it's often easier to be able to point out years as a contribute to open source, to popular library, right? Not all thing on your portfolio LED library you've right portfolio. As a student, the opportunity mind how you decide, right, of about it, decide to idea of whether you do that, the see this as a other people experience, as well as gain from the connection you make from contributing. For example, in your own case as a student, you possibly contribute to a framework or a library, and eventually trying to get a job, and then one of the people who was your reviewer, or probably one of the contributors of the project, of the project you contributed previously, happens to be part of the recruiting team, or probably one of the technical interviewers and stuff like this. Knowing that you had experience, you've contributed to open source, you've been able to contribute to some, who the person is could probably give you uh, um, basically a point and makes things easy for you. And then something I'm not sure you can see. If you can see, still okay. See this as an opportunity, probably get swags, get recognitions, make some money. But the reason more that it's more fintech is because, right? Yes, we've seen different programs that try to become better at what you're doing and try to offer swags. One of those is the Hacktoberfest month. Developers try to contribute to open source you expected to make at least 4 contributions to get some swag kits, stickers. It's something we've been able to enjoy over the past few years, thanks to DigitalOcean and some of their contributions. To have, as you contribute, I think if you've been in the Ruth mentioned, she's a GitHub star. It's basically what she has been doing for her contribution. And if you look at, you probably have heard of stuff like Google Developer, Microsoft MVP program, or recognition programs for you contribute to different things, contribute to existing knowledge and stuff like this. It will still be an opportunity for you to make money, right? Have different internships program, different projects, and different ways of trying to. Some companies, some libraries, some contribute make money from providing support, though the softwares are free, like I mentioned, open, but they're not there, and then they're also free. But then people still try to get support to try to troubleshoot some problem, try to highlight some issues, and try to to some real life problem that they have while using the library, and then sometimes come with charges, right? So see this as some of the reasons why you should the student to open source. And then how can I contribute, right? There are different ways to contribute to open source. It doesn't necessarily need to be contributing to codes, right? Like for what your screen, the first thing highlighted is to review docs, right? Fix, right? So even when we do, or probably some um, some programs, in some situations we tend to have the just review docs that are from existing libraries we've been using. You're trying to implement the library, you're reading the documentation, and you find that there's probably some missing gaps that you figured you could be able to help review and provide solutions to, see that as an opportunity to as something as simple as fixing type. Features. You're using a library that has something you add, something that could be added, really important, extending open issues possible. Because if you can, if you don't have issues alone contributing to open, but then issues suggested peers are basically trying to add the contributors to feature to a project. Try to organize that people together, ideate to raise issues to for some people, and I think during the Oktoberfest project, the program tenure, we see people organizing Oktoberfest events where people, contributors come together in one place to try to contribute to different solutions, right? Even beside this, in our own end, for example, in the Good Developers Student Clubs program, we usually organize a program called the Solutions Challenge, where we bring people to build softwares or probably build solutions to real life problem and try to make them open and make it open and useful to a lot of people. So when you organize events that try to help bring people to build these solutions, also counts as contributing to open source, because basically, or possibly something that will be built in the project in your event will probably be useful for the overall good of the ecosystem. So another thing you could do is write articles, right? Write articles on open source technologies and try to share as much as you can. Like, this is not an exhaustive list. You could see different ways to probably speaking at events, speaking about open source projects and stuff like this to be you contributing to open source. It's just not an exhaustive list, but for you as a student, see this as an avenue to probably build a solid CV, gain a lot of experience, try to network with people and stuff like this. So one question we often get from people who is, can I be paid, right? Can I make money contributing to open source? And like I mentioned earlier, open source software doesn't necessarily need to mean free software, and free software doesn't necessarily need to be open source software. In the case of an open source software, you're thinking of, okay, can I make money? Yes, you can make money, right? You could probably build a project and then people that try to use the project decide that, okay, they're having issue and they need support from the team that built it. And then you could decide to charge for probably hourly rate or probably based on the issue you're trying to fix. We've seen really, really great engineers already doing this, right? We've already seen, see for projects like, if you see for project like Vue.js, where the contributor or probably the main maintainer was initially a worker, and then decided to probably leave his job to just focus on open source on his library and try to gain some figures from different partners and contributors. People nowadays decide to even provide some funds to keep maintainers continue to keep the project alive. So for someone whose project heavily depends on your own open source project, will decide to contribute some funds. It could be probably monthly, hourly, and stuff like this to your project, and then you could get that to probably pay for your living, right? And beside this, if you're looking at this as a student and you be like, okay, I cannot start a project on my own that will probably get to this level, there are different internship programs that do this. I'm going to try to share a different screen so that you can see what I am trying to say. The link I shared earlier. Just a moment. Just trying to share a different tab. Okay, so this here, I will probably post the link on the chat. I also share with the organizers, and then um, the recorded session will probably have this also, and it's also part of my slide. So you can see here are some open source internship opportunities, oftentimes open to students, right? And then some of these are paid, some are not. For example, you can clearly see Summer of Docs. This is Google Summer of Docs. It's a program that helps contributors expert contributors to contribute to documentations, right? Try to write like improve on documentations that are available, right? We also have pressing other stuff, Google Summer of Code, or privacy, different software. You can see here is on, will be on the chat section, also part of this slide, and this has been contributed, as you can contributed to open, contributed to the over everyone. So these are the paid ones, and all give you to gain experience, regardless case may be. That some of these are paid, some of the stipends are meant to sustain you, to ensure that you're focused on trying to contribute to this, right? And then they have their timeline. I will share this with you in a jiffy, and we could probably have you check them out. Yeah. So if you have any question, or if you want any, if you have anything you probably want to ask, you could probably use the link that was shared. My Twitter link has been shared with you over here, and um, we can probably take this talk back to Twitter and see how we can do this. As well as there's a session whose link will be shared in a jiffy, right? The link will be very useful for you. Join us on this Zoom call, and we will, if you have any question you want me to answer live, I'll do my best to provide as much feedback as I can. So thank you very much for spending your time. Over to you, Martin and Ruth.
All right. Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Thank you. Thank you so much, Mohammed Samu. We appreciate your talk. Even we apologize for the issues with the audio. And he was able to convey most of the information. So I would like to thank all the speakers so far. We've had Olubusayo, we've had Sule, we've also had Samu. So thank you so much, all of you guys, for your talk. And Ruth, you have anything there to add?
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you from Busayo to Sule with the energy. And also thank you, Awals, for your talk on contributing to open source. I'm sure everybody here learned something from that. And thank you also to everyone that had attended this event. You are like special, yeah, also our special persons too. So thank you for making it out. And we'll be having a Zoom session, just a 30 minutes chat. It's going to be quite interactive. So please do well to join in that. I think it's a link has been sent to the chat, right, Martins?
Yes, and also
Okay.
one of the things I wanted to add is if you want to be a speaker on our next meetup in July
Yeah,
or
sure.
August or
That's
any other future, yeah, definitely take a look at. I think you should be seeing my screen. Take a look at submitting your proposals here with the QR code, or you can go to this link here, github.co/CFP, and submit your proposals for a presentation. And like we just mentioned, we're logging off and going on Zoom right now. If you have any questions for the speakers, bring the questions over to Zoom. and Zoom. This is the Zoom link, and we will see you over Zoom. And we really thankful for joining you guys joining us on the meetup today. We'll see you guys in a month. So thank you, Ruth. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, sure. See you over on Zoom.